Okay. All right, it is Monday, December 5th, 7:03 PM. This is the Community Committee meeting. Present tonight is Councilperson Shrestha, Councilperson McNamara, Mayor Southard, Pool Manager John, and myself, Councilperson Cameron. All right, we have several topics to cover tonight. One of them is pool fees. I want to try to get that to a first reading on Thursday. So we have time to update stuff if we need to in January. But if we read it Thursday, and then our 2 meetings in January, when we wait the 30 days, we can start selling on March 1st. So that's the plan.
Getting ahead of it.
Otherwise,
Nice.
if we wait till January, we can't start selling until mid-March, and I'd rather get ahead of it, so. So I'd say let's come up with the general idea tonight, and then if we have to tweak it between meetings, between readings, we can do that, so. Let's start with that. I think first off, the biggest thing that we've already talked about, John and I have talked about at least, is changing the day passes. Right now, and we have not changed them for a long time, I don't think, right? They've been $10 for a while.
At least a few years, yeah.
The only thing we added last year was a holiday, where we went to 12 for the holiday. Discussion has been $12 for day passes and 15 for the holidays, right? Isn't that what we talked about?
Yes.
Which still puts us lower than a lot of other places. I think Westerville's 15, regular, not even holiday, so, which is our biggest competition, I'd say.
And very few people balked at the holiday,
Nope.
and we had successful hot holidays, so it was well
I
worth
know,
it.
it was nice. Except for the last holiday. It got rainy the last week.
Yeah, Memorial Day, I
season.
had quite the nicely tanned arms.
Yeah.
It was a nice day.
So, any thoughts on starting there?
Well, I mean, I love, I love doing everything we can for our people, and nobody loves the idea of a price increase, but I mean, everything is more expensive, and I mean, if we need to bring in some money to at least, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, we did well this year.
we did, and the day passes are more profitable for us in the long run. We sell more of those, make more money off of those, so.
And as long as we're, below, the surrounding areas, that's still a net benefit for the people.
Absolutely.
And it gives you a push for the memberships. So, I mean, if you guys, he's 100% right. We had to cap our memberships during COVID because the day passes is the only thing that kept us alive.
Right.
If we would, everybody wanted memberships because we were the only one there, so we had to cap them.
I remember.
But yeah, if we can get more people to do memberships, it's a benefit to I mean, if you come to the pool 2 or 3 days a week, it ends up being like $5 or
Yeah,
$3.
so much cheaper.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You lose money on me,
I'm
though.
not against the idea at all,
Yep.
as long as we're, remaining is, a real good deal for the area, I'd
Yeah.
be supportive.
I'm not interested in trying to price gouge anyone, the pool is.
I know what you're saying, I think, it'd be nice
Yeah.
to keep it, but you gotta remember, the chlorine people aren't gonna keep theirs the same, the insurance people aren't gonna keep theirs the
Right.
same.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I get it, like I said, things are more expensive everywhere, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, the pool didn't make money again this year, but we still were not as bad as we've been in years past.
Oh, no.
So,
Last 3
Yeah.
years has been good.
yeah. I can't remember off the top of my head what we were down, 12?
That's great.
I
It
think.
used to be double that.
So, the village still does offset the cost of,
Oh,
from our general fund.
there's no risk of me not supporting this.
Okay. Any thoughts on members' prices?
Do we have were we able to pull up J.C.'s or anybody yet? I mean, we're pretty early.
It's too early.
That's what I
We're thinking
figured.
of them at this point.
I mean, at the end of the day, here's what we kind of said over the last couple of years, and you guys can agree or disagree. You're never gonna compete with Westerville. J.C., yes, we're gonna compete with, that's probably our biggest competitor, and maybe Amherst, and maybe even the one that's right there off of, I know the person that lives right by there, I talk to her all the time, Emily.
Northland,
What'd you say, Northland?
Northland.
That
Yes,
sounds right.
that's probably one of our biggest competitors, and I don't mean it that way, but the closest in proximity to us.
And we had so many people at the end of the year come from that pool because their pool had closed.
Yes.
And they loved our pool, so we might gain them, not that we wish anybody else out of business or anything,
I'd like to
but.
see something like that, and I know David would be.
I could see that being.
I would really like that. I think it's a point percentage of
federal
full
poverty
income of the
guidelines.
home, and you take it, and I mean, it's gotta be approved, so it's gotta be like a W-2. I think doing I don't know how people feel, but a sliding scale for our lower income families.
I would, I don't disagree, but in Minerva Park, we don't qualify for any low income anything because our properties are at such high value. And when we talked to you were just there at the, Minerva Park does not qualify for any of those. I'm not saying there's not one or two families, but I think it's a difficult process to get, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but I think in general, we have $400,000 houses. It's kind of hard to
Right, but not
assume.
everybody is living, and I don't think that we're asking for anything like low income, like subsidies or anything like that. It's just, maybe we can offer a membership to some of those people that might not be able to, again, they may live in $400,000 houses, but they might have to choose between their electric and water bill.
Right.
And even just having that, even if no one uses it, the fact that we have been conscious about it, and the fact that if that two household are able to use the pool, I think that's important.
Okay.
It's just something to think about.
I'm not in disagreement, but I don't think that, I have a hard time thinking that,
Yeah, no,
I mean, I get the great point to it, but if you start doing that, are you gonna offer it just to residents? Cause I don't know if you can. So then you start getting all of the people on Cleveland Avenue and all of that, and if you can only, I mean, you can't, I don't think you can just do it for residents.
Yeah, I still think it's a nice offer to have when we're
Yeah.
talking about, and I wouldn't say like day passes, I'm talking
So
about
how
like
do we-
annual memberships.
yeah, right.
And
Yeah.
that won't touch the money of the day passes, right?
No,
But
it
like
wouldn't.
annual memberships, and it has to be proven by W-2s, the same way anybody else does it.
Well, you can't do it by W-2s, you're gonna have to see their whole taxes, cause just because somebody makes X, their husband could make this, they could get this or that. I mean, if there's all I'm saying is if there's a will, there's a way for people to only submit certain things.
Well, not everybody,
Not everybody tries to bend rules,
Okay.
but people do.
So what,
You're not just again, we're not just talking about residents, we're talking about,
we offer.
Or are we?
We offer a senior discount, right?
yes.
yeah,
So, I
that's
mean,
right,
that's
I
kind
think
of-
it's something that we could think about for sure.
Okay. I'd say,
We have to be very careful with the legal writing of it.
I'm not in disagreeing,
Yeah, you
I,
have to be very
Let-
specific, so someone can't take advantage.
okay, so how about if we do this? Let's run it by Jesse and see
Yeah.
Oh,
what
I'm
we
sure
can
you would know
do.
perfectly.
And if we need to revise what we're proposing, we can do that between the first and second reading.
yeah, or you can do, there has to be a way to do it to where you also only limit it to, you've gotta limit it at some point. Because you can't sell that many memberships for X amount of dollars, and then you try, for the people
Oh,
that are
sure.
paying full price.
Yeah.
They're coming to the pool and they can't get this, they can't get that, there's not enough room, you have to start, I mean,
But they have the capacity to do that, right? And if
Oh,
we're
we
only
can look at
thinking that
addresses,
two,
yeah.
yeah, and if we only think two people are gonna utilize this, it's still a nice thing to have, even if it's just.
I think the one thing I'd like to try this year, if you all are in agreement with it, is a payment plan.
I think that is a better
I think that's
option
awesome.
than,
I think
yeah.
that's
Which,
another option.
that's another reason why I wanna try
Mm-hmm.
to get it going in March, so that we could do 3 equal payments, March,
Uh-huh.
April,
That'd be
May.
super cool.
And you have to have it paid off before the pool opens.
Correct.
Who would handle that kind of record-keeping
Yeah,
system?
I believe, and I'm gonna look into this a little
Because
more.
I'm thinking
I
record-keeping fees,
know, I know,
like,
I know exactly what you're saying.
Who's gonna
So-
become the bill collector when they paid two
Exactly.
payments, they can't afford the third, now they wanna
because-
cancel.
Because we use Square as our payment system for a lot of stuff, and we're switching the cash register system over to Square this
Okay.
year, right? We talked about that. There is a way to do payments in that, to set it up,
So we could do it in-house and not have to outsource.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
And nickel and dime our residents to death, while
Yeah,
we're expensive,
there's
we're
a-
trying to save the money.
There's basically a membership kind of option in Square that we could say, it's this many payments, so over this course of time.
Okay.
And it would email them a reminder and then they would go in and do it. Or we could possibly even have it auto bill to whatever, if they put a card on file.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, it just really would rub,
Mm-hmm.
and I suspect other people the wrong way, to be like, oh, now it's on payment plan, oh, $10 convenience fee each payment.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No, I don't believe we do.
I don't
I
think
don't
so
remember, I
either.
don't think there was either, I went to that
Yeah.
meeting when we rolled the system
Yeah.
out, but that was, in like April or something,
Right.
I don't think there's fees, I think you're gonna have to make sure that you dot your i's and cross your t's, because again, you get to the second payment, now they can't afford the third, and now you're issuing refunds, and how's the refunds gonna come through, because they paid with a credit card, and now we have, there are fees for credit cards, but it wouldn't be, I don't think it would be any more than that, and then you start putting that on our fiscal person
Yeah.
that already wants to wring his neck during some, it's always like this, it's not, but it's gotten
I
better.
mean, we could put language in that we don't refund
Yeah.
the fees or something like that, I don't know. That's a little tough.
It is a little tough because
it's a
it's.
great idea, it is.
No, I'm just saying you're gonna have to figure out something and it, making
Right.
sure that they're signing something that says that it has to be paid for before because you can already
Well,
see the writing on the wall. I don't get paid until Friday, but we wanna come and da-da-da-da, exactly. So you just
right.
have to make
It's
sure
gonna
that,
have to say your membership's not active until payment has been
Full
received.
payment.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, that would
But I
definitely-
think that would help, especially some of our lower income people or people that are on a fixed budget.
I definitely agree with that.
Some memberships.
Right before you said that, that's what I was gonna suggest, and I like your idea a lot. The thing is, being there every day, what I know I'm gonna come across is, because for the honest people, yes, God knows there are a lot of dishonest people. Well, I got 10 kids, why can't I get this price? I'm afraid somebody'd say, well, I know that family paid less, and I've got all these kids. Even for daily fees, we're gonna go through, when we're trying to do something nice for some people who deserve it, others are gonna want their piece of the pie too. So I like that, and what we used to do too is, I like your full payment by 3 payments, but for early full payment, those people got a little bit of a break too. Otherwise, we might get everybody doing that and not have some seed money up front. So even if it's a $20 difference or something to pay upfront full,
right,
as
Yeah.
opposed to the 3
the early
payment
bird
options.
discount.
Yeah, I remember we did that.
Yeah.
I think that was
So we could
number
say, or let me just throw this out, we could say, if you do the payment plan, you pay the full price. If you make any payment in full before a certain date, you can get that early bird discount.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. The other thing I was thinking about this year as a way to kind of partner with our MPCA is that
We were asking about that too.
if we did a discount if you were an MPCA member rather than the resident membership.
I have no issue with any of this. The only thing I'm gonna remind everybody is how you're going to control that, and I don't know how their membership
Right.
what type of documentation that they could get to you. Because if they come in and they're standing, again, I'm just being devil's
No, no,
advocate
I know
here.
exactly what you're saying.
I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not against any of it.
We'd have to have a membership list from them
Yeah.
But
in
it,
order for us to
Right.
verify.
And
Or-
I'll give you access to the website for that.
yeah, if there was a way to get on the website
Mm-hmm.
and verify it or something like that, because you gotta remember, we don't do most of that. Once the
Right.
pool opens, it's gonna be left up to the 1 or 2
Right.
people down there.
Right.
So not only are they gonna be, if you're trying to verify all of this stuff, now you've got a line producing out here, especially that first 2 weeks.
Right.
So,
Honestly, maybe, just thinking of that, signing up online ahead of time
Is a
could be
discount.
discounted as opposed to signing up
Totally
for the
agree.
full. And that would help keep you guys from having to do that.
and
better.
most people paid with a credit card that show up down there. That's,
Right.
again.
Right.
But some people, I think, like the split payments, but I think other people just wanna wait until that very last day to put it on their
Right.
credit card.
Right,
So you're saying just combine the early bird with, an MPCA discount or something
Right.
online, right?
Yes.
So it's
They
done
would, yeah.
pre-season.
It'd be done before they got there.
Would you have a way online to verify MPCA membership?
I don't know, well, I'll have to ask Carrie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be my.
No, like, I
How
think
do
what
they
he's saying
verify?
is, okay, so click here for a $20 discount if you're an
Oh, I
MPCA
see
member.
that.
So, okay, again, you don't wanna talk about the dishonest people, or the honest people that I clicked it, but I'm not actually a member this year, mine expired in January, I didn't know it expired in January, so now I'm no
Mm-hmm.
longer a member.
Or I forgot I am one, my wife said, can
Now I
we
want
get our
$20.
$20 back?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I know it sounds like John and I are being negative, but these
Oh,
are the
no,
things
no,
that
no.
happen.
Yeah, no, that's why we have this discussion, so we
Yeah.
can talk through logistics of it, so.
I
Yeah,
mean, whether we agree with, the methods of it or not, people will discuss and it will be found out, oh, so-and-so family paid, a different amount. Well, that's BS, we.
Well, I mean-
There's lots of programs like that all around that people,
Yeah.
even families in Minerva Park use that have been reduced, we have how many children that use free and reduced price lunches? You know what I mean?
So, I think I have a way
State or
around
federally
this.
funded though.
Okay.
But
What if
But I-
we,
I'm talking in regards to conversing about it. People
Yeah, I
know,
agree with you.
honestly,
so does,
If they're willing to basically, and I don't disagree with that, if they're willing to apply for those things, I don't wanna say they're not being bashful, they really need the help. So, I mean, I don't disagree, like, if somebody's getting it cheaper, I mean, they do it with AEP, they do it with Columbia Gas, they do it with all those. I'm thinking more of the logistics of, I don't think I don't think residents of Minerva Park, you're gonna see very much action with that. But can you control it just being residents? If we start opening up to the surrounding neighborhoods, which my mom lives across the street. So in fairness, I've lived there for 20 years. I'm just saying, if you start opening it up to, depending on how much of a discount it is, if we're talking $10, who cares? What's the difference between that and something else? But if we're talking a decent amount, again, you start getting a lot more members. You're gonna start missing out on those day passes. People that, couldn't, I'm just saying, you gotta be careful
so
biting your own head off.
does MPCA have a members only section of their website?
no, but it is something that they've talked about. But I know that they do have a list of all current members at any time.
So what
They
I'm
want that.
thinking is if we can, having the discussion with them, of course, we're trying to partner with them to get them
Right.
more membership, is have the access to the discount locked behind their member access. And they
a good idea.
control, if you're a member of MPCA, then you have the password to get in there, and that gives you the link to the discounted pricing.
That'd be,
And that way.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Carrie can help.
Yeah, and we're talking, if you think about it from payment wise, it's $20 for their membership, and we've been giving a $25 discount. So they're making ahead $5. So if we can work that out, do you think that would?
I think that's
Cause then
better.
you don't have to check anything at
No,
all.
I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
great.
that's better.
They'd have to go through the site,
Yeah.
and they can promote this as a membership discount for
Yeah.
MPCS.
I think that's
So then
awesome.
do we remove the $25 early bird from everyone else that's a resident? Or do we keep it?
Well, I mean, I think don't take this wrong, can we pause recorders? Why would you not do it then?
I know.
I mean, why would you not become a member if that's I see what you're saying, okay, I don't wanna give, basically at that point, I feel like you're saying, I don't wanna give MPCA my money.
You could lessen the early bird discount for those who choose to not join, like $15, less than that. Still encourage it, excuse me, so they join MPCA. But there's always gonna be somebody who doesn't wanna
Yeah.
join for whatever reason.
Right.
And if they're a resident, we should still probably offer them something to support the neighborhood pool though.
So do 15 if they are not an MPCA
Yeah.
member but want an early bird.
But now, you just made legislation insane.
yeah, that's.
I'm just saying.
If then, it's like one of those like trees
I don't
for
have to
math
write
class,
it,
you know?
So I
Sounds
think.
good here.
Well, but I think the other part to it is depending on the accounting nightmare of trying to figure it out. I don't know. I don't know if there's any logistics that doesn't make sense. I mean, maybe it's just keep it the same. And if they really don't wanna be a member, like, again, like you said, there's always gonna be that one person and I don't wanna judge that one person.
Well, again, I think from collecting payment, so what we did last year that I think we can improve on this year is, last year, once they clicked through their application, it just took them back to the MPCA website, we didn't have any payment form through that. Whereas this year, we'll be able to take them to Square, and then they choose their membership, they pay their fees if they want to, and then I'm sure there'd be a check option if people wanna pay by check. Their memberships technically aren't active until we've verified everything.
Right.
Which does put a little bit of work on Barb
Yeah.
to check this stuff. However, I think the payment piece was a big thing for her last year, where
Yeah.
she would have to email everyone and people would come in with different stuff, and connecting to people was a little difficult, so.
People wanna come with like,
Right.
a money order and a bag of change.
And in fairness, again, you guys don't see this part of it, but she was a bill collector there for a little while. People
was,
would come in, so again, the payment plan thing, somebody has to be making sure that they're monitoring it, controlling it.
There always has to
And
follow
if
through.
you know, again, I love the idea of it only being online if you're gonna do a payment plan. Because if you start writing checks and you start doing all of that kind of stuff,
Right.
and one of the checks bounces and this, or, it becomes a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but we have one person in the office and 1.5 people technically in finance, so.
Right.
For sure.
Barb became a bill collector. I mean, she was emailing people constantly, this is what I got, this is what I got, trying to get the pictures taken.
Yeah.
It was
It was a little work for her.
definitely a
Yeah.
little work,
Yeah.
and if you're now starting to offer payment plans and stuff, and she's responsible for collecting checks
Mm-hmm.
and posting checks and doing all of that, it's a lot for one
She-
person.
She basically did every payment last year, there was nothing automated about it,
No.
except that she would send them a link saying you can click on this, or I don't even know if she did
No,
that, to be
we
honest.
ran most of them.
Yeah,
I sat at the computer with.
yeah, so I think this will be easier for her. I also
Maybe not.
think that, I'm not positive, I would need to get back on their site and double check, I think because we are reoccurring,
Mm-hmm.
that this year, people would have the option of renewing.
Yes,
And so
hopefully.
the photo would
Nice.
already be uploaded and things like that, we won't have that problem, so,
That'd be really nice.
like we had last year of getting people's photos, so. And I think we get a discounted rate or something.
Good.
We
Yeah, I
don't
think
pay
so.
for something this year
Yeah.
that we paid for last year, so, which is.
No,
nice.
it works really well. No, I mean, I feel like it'll go, if we can do the or if we can do the payment plans, again, if we're doing like the MPCA thing that's only done through them,
Mm-hmm.
if we're doing payment plans, but like you said, it's a full price, but it has to be done online.
Yeah.
I feel like there's ways to get around,
I'm afraid that they may charge us a fee for adding, cause it's gonna have to be 2 different landing pages.
Yeah.
To start it, they may charge us that fee to set that up, but
but it
I'm
would,
okay paying for it another year.
It
If
would
we don't
be-
have to pay for it every year,
correct.
cause I think it's a benefit to our community.
It is.
I just love the idea of doing everything online.
Oh, yeah,
Otherwise, it's not-
absolutely.
Oh my goodness, that is an improvement.
Here's the thing, when we started last summer, we really weren't into Square that much, like, we used
And
it
it can
in
do-
the
yeah.
office, but we used it at concession stand all summer, it worked great. Again, we're switching over the front desk so that they don't have a separate credit card payment and cash register and all that, so
It'll
it'll be
all
all
be-
one system for them. We're moving over our permits online to the Square card reader, Barb and I are working on that, so we have a lot of stuff going through there.
Nice.
And it's become a lot easier
It
for
is.
everyone,
What's,
so.
this may be a topic for another discussion, but what is the backup or fail-safe system for Square? Should it go down? Is it all
It did go down
cloud-based?
this
Is it-
summer.
Oh, the first day,
Yeah,
Yes,
no.
I
was it, or was it
remember that.
second?
We did have, that
Yeah.
was the pool software went down.
Yeah, that was.
But Square did go down one day, it was down for what, like, we couldn't ring up concessions for a little while.
We had to get you out of your chair to
I
come.
know, you had to get me on a chair. And then we realized their site was down, cause Twitter was saying their site was down. That only happened once over the summer, I'm hoping it's not that's a big deal for Square to go down.
Oh, I'm
I mean,
sure. I mean,
they're
yeah.
losing thousands
Yeah.
of
Right.
dollars, more than thousands, but.
right,
Of that, cause of their piece of the pie, so.
Oh, for
What
sure.
we've done, the bigger issue was internet at the pool.
Yeah.
And we've switched to, and of course with the power goes out, we lose
Internet
internet.
regardless, yeah.
So we've switched to a Wi-Fi hotspot kind of,
That's what I was gonna suggest.
yes, we've switched to that, right? Did we already purchase it or we're in the process?
we have one down there right now, it is, we're still going back and forth because it's still not it works.
It's not the best.
But we've not been able to, yeah, no.
Okay.
And it's not
So
cheap.
that's what we've talked about, is having some type of hotspot instead.
I mean, you could
Like
technically
a cellular
have stuff
hotspot
in,
type
Right.
of device rather than
I think we're
AT&T
still
and-
gonna probably have both, and here's why. You're only gonna be able to do so much with a hotspot
Sure.
with me using it, you
Yeah.
using it, Square using it, them using it. It's, the Wi-Fi was great for
Yeah.
residents that are at the pool that want Wi-Fi.
That was a discussion we had last year as we were talking about switching over this, we have to have backups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we can't operate, if you're thinking of it as a business, if you don't have backups to your
Right.
systems, we lose money out of that too.
So we will
Yeah,
probably
I'm glad-
have
I'm glad we're
both.
thinking about
Yeah.
that.
We do already have the hotspot there, we have the hotspot there for a different reason, but it will then get moved inside, it is already there.
Alright, so let's back up a little, let's recap just for a second. So I'm gonna pursue through the MPCA site, if we can, lock a discounted rate for members through a, member-only portal or something on their
Nice,
site.
nice.
in which case we will offer it at a $25 discount for MPCA residents. We're gonna pursue, payments for those who would like to spread the payments out. We're going to do a $15 rate for residents for early bird, which is still only the month of March, or?
You need to have a cutoff date at some point, but again, I think that's up to you guys, cause some people,
We've done only March, right? Or was it March and April?
we used to only do it for like a week,
Oh.
a long time
I
ago.
would at least do April first, just because
Yeah.
some people, even if they're saving money, I'm not putting out the money for the pool now.
Right.
Whereas if it gets closer to pool season, it's nicer out, they might be like, yeah, I'm gonna do it now.
So through
Plus you-
April?
Maybe even April
the
15th through
first.
income tax
April
return time
15th,
for
yeah.
people is
Okay.
probably a good time for people to get, you know, people with kids may get money back, who knows?
Okay.
April
Or
15th?
Sure.
Okay, and then,
Let me see what day that lands on though.
there's one more thing that we talked about.
April 15th.
$12 and 15, I mean, yeah, 12 and 15. And then what about,
Do-
rates in general?
Do April, okay, it's up to you.
Yeah.
April 15th falls on a Saturday, so I don't know if you wanna end it on the 14th or if you wanna end it the evening of the 17th.
Let's do the 17th, since that's probably tax day.
Yep.
Yes, no?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay,
must be received by the 17th.
okay, so what about our prices? Or, let me back up, before we do prices. Any thoughts on the tiers that we did last year? We had our premium, we had our evening pass, I know it was a little difficult to tell them apart, I do have thoughts on that we can do internally for distinguishing that, but, I mean, we got memberships at all levels. I think the only thing I probably heard was for the premium, it was difficult getting their water. But that was the only thing.
Because, yep, and you're not gonna get it.
You know, that, you did 150 new things last year, and 149 of them were great. So
That was the one, that was the one that
Here's,
wasn't.
here's how I would say this, if they wanted to do the water, they just need to go to the concession and it needs to be entered in the concession, people need to do it, and it shouldn't have anything to do with anybody else. It should go
Right.
through concession.
Right.
And they have 15 and all you gotta do is hit a button and
Yeah.
you can preload everybody's, and if they don't wanna use water,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe you just do it as a $15 credit to,
So-
I don't know.
This is what, and maybe you can help me with this. So what I wanted to do last year to kind of fix this was to get gift cards, because you can get a gift card for Square, for our system, and then just load the value onto the gift card. They could use it for anything, to be honest with you. John was not for that because he's like, it's an accounting nightmare, but in my thought, it's not, I'm sorry, Jeff.
Jeff.
Did I say John?
Yeah.
Jeff was not for it because he says it's an accounting nightmare. But I think he's thinking that we would have to refund that money at the end of the season because people are paying onto it.
Right.
And it's really just us as a form of credit.
Right.
To, deduct from an account that's part of their membership. It's not like they're putting money onto this and then we're taking money off of it, so.
I don't have,
Yeah,
is,
that does seem a bit nightmarish.
It would be, with the gift card, they just swipe the card
Yeah.
and
once
you
it's
just
gone,
take
it's
the
gone.
money off of it,
Right.
right?
I like that.
Yeah, so I think we just have to have a discussion with him.
Yeah.
And tell him why.
could we do it to where we just have a $15 credit on their Square account? Okay, I didn't know.
No, well,
I don't know.
yeah, yes, maybe, there's a way to store credit card information in there. But I was always very leery about it with the team that ran it, that
Right.
they would mess it up and it would be hard
Yeah.
to fix, so.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a card that the
Right.
guest would have to keep up with, the member would have
Right.
to keep up with.
I don't see that as
Jason,
an
how
issue.
many of those premium memberships did you really
I
sell?
mean, we had probably what, 15 of the premium and probably about 15 of the,
And the premium got in, what, 2 bottles of water?
in the chairs
In the
and,
chair.
yeah.
I mean, really, and you know,
And the
I'm
member,
for that. I'm
they
gonna
got
do-
they got the extra person that didn't have to be named.
And I think that was also a little confusing, cause there was a couple times, like, I would go, and then I always let the officers come, and then I would so I think that was kinda confusing, I think, for them, that I could bring like one of them, and then only the wife or kids would have to pay, and it's not like, I think it was still just making sure that everybody understands, this is what's included, and it was always fixed, it wasn't an issue, but it was like, you know, if if one of the officers came with his wife, I got one in, they only had to pay for one, so then it
Right.
wasn't so expensive for them to come.
Right.
So, and they would sit with us, they would, we would hang out with
So
them.
it's not, so remember in the past, we've had that like family babysitter, well, that was kind of a named person, it was
Nate.
for a specific person,
Right.
it couldn't be passed on to someone else. With the additional guest, it can be anyone extra
Anybody.
that they wanna bring, it doesn't have, they could bring one person today, another person tomorrow, another person the next day.
Yeah, I was, and like Tiffany was always clear about it, she's like.
I would
this
always
one,
tell
da, 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 da. Everybody else wasn't, cause they didn't have his understanding, but we got through that.
Yeah.
I'm just not,
It's a
I don't
lot.
think that 2 bottle of water thing is worth it all the way around, I mean, who cares?
I mean, people
Buy
don't
2
really-
bottles of water or don't
Yeah.
buy them, I'm not being mean here, cause
No.
I work 7 days a week, I'm not serving somebody 2 bottles of water out in their lawn chair, I'm just not doing
Oh,
that.
no, you don't have to
So,
serve anyway.
yeah.
They would have to come up and get
I
it.
mean,
but-
cause and I always tell you this, we gotta remember, we're a neighborhood pool, we're not Muirfield.
Right.
So I don't wanna try to be a
You know-
country club.
And I'm fine with taking the water away if we're still gonna, well, let's replace it with something else, we
I mean,
can,
water is more easily water's more universal, maybe we could do some kind of snack feature or something.
No, I think the issue becomes, it's just, again, it's more of we're expecting the pool staff to try to decipher between who is this and who is this, and do they want this or do they want that, versus, that's why I said if it could be stored somehow, or like
Right.
his swipes,
Yeah.
that to me solves all the problems.
yeah, cause we
I would
wouldn't
agree with
label it
that
as a gift card, it would be labeled as like
Right.
Premier-
Minerva Pool,
pre-
yeah, Premier Pass.
Membership, concession stand.
Right.
Credit or something.
Right.
And then they could get anything, honestly.
And now, I know those chairs you got are beautiful, by the way, and now that, cause I remember last year, only one person one time called and said, reserve me 2 chairs. I said, sorry. I said, I'm not telling somebody who's there to get out of a chair because somebody reserved
Right.
chairs.
Right.
I mean, would you guys like it if I came and said, hey,
I don't-
Nikki, sorry, somebody else
I
reserved?
don't think we ever really
No.
ran out of seats
No,
anyways.
but it was a possibility,
Yeah, that one for
Put
the,
you in a
I know,
bad
we had a
position.
few,
I don't
we had a
like
few
it.
days.
there was a
So,
couple.
I found these things, they're called towel bands.
I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about, yep.
And we could get them customized that say reserved and just put them
Yeah.
on 40 chairs and,
Now we'll have enough. We're getting a whole nother set in January.
Oh, okay.
yeah. I
Yeah,
was
they
gonna
look
get to
very,
that.
I saw them in the
Okay,
storage
sorry.
thing,
Yeah,
they look
they're
very nice.
Good, I haven't seen them in person, I've only seen pictures. so-
Brian took me on a
Oh,
tour.
good, good.
So yeah, I
Yeah,
think
mean,
that's
we
a great
can purchase
idea.
that. I don't know that we've specifically budgeted for that, but
Yeah.
we can, I think we
Look
could
and
do
see how much they are.
something. Yeah. Okay, so yes to the 3 memberships still? And maybe tweaking the premium one with
Yeah, I'm
what
not
we get?
opposed to that, I'm not
Okay.
opposed to that framework, it seems like it works,
We had-
generally
The
well.
point was never to like sell
Yeah.
out of one or to,
Right.
it's just to
Right.
give people
Yeah.
options.
Some people prefer the extra.
Yeah. I mean, people that work during the day, they don't care, why not give them a discount for just coming at night and,
For sure.
yeah. I mean, I knew a couple people that got it and it worked out for them.
Oh yeah, some people work all day,
Evening membership,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
sure.
the evening and weekend.
Nikki, one thing too to think about along the lines of what you were saying, if somehow we could, showing that we're a caring community or something, even with somebody discreetly having to submit something, we could do a drawing for 3 of those in need memberships for the summer or something like
That's
that.
a
That'd be
wonderful
cool.
idea.
You could do something like, send in, some sort of like, again, you hate,
I
if they're
would-
really in need, it would be nice to do like, send it in and we'll, depending on how many we might do, X
We'll do a
amount.
drawing.
We'll do,
We wanna take care of our families that may be struggling right now.
Yeah.
We're coming out of
Can
COVID.
you put some thought behind that and kind of think how? we
yeah,
can
cause
do
that would be cool.
Like a Minerva Park Cares type thing.
No, just for this committee, can you kind of put something?
Like
Just kinda
maybe-
Think it through a little, think through the details and then kind of come
Well,
back
let me
and,
research and see how other people's done it,
okay,
right? So-
alright.
We could do like one of those, like that big wheel full of like ping pong balls with names on it.
Oh, yeah, like the
Do it
bingo.
publicly, and like
wheel,
use it
yeah.
in draft numbers back in
Are we
Vietnam.
putting
Well-
a man in a white dress and having you call him?
Well, some people may
He
not,
says, "I'll do it."
Too bad we didn't think of it earlier, we could have done it as a holiday type thing.
right.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
You have
Yeah,
two
you have
things,
And have Santa draw it.
The
Yeah,
things that
definitely.
you have to think about is some people that are really struggling do not want other people to know.
That's true.
That's true too.
So you have to do
Some
it,
people do need
Well, we
help.
can't do it secretly either.
Right, they
well,
need the help.
it's one of those, but like he said, if she can go through and think of a couple different ways to do it, because it's not gonna be nice what I'm gonna say, is I feel like there's more people that are struggling that won't say something versus the people that aren't necessarily struggling that just wants to, I don't wanna say scam the system, but I feel like you do have people that maybe are not as on, the people that are really struggling usually don't want people to know.
That's why you have to do an
Yeah,
income verification, and
Right.
they have slips
It's
for
tough.
anybody that enters.
Yeah.
But, you
One
know,
of
you
the-
do have a lot of crooked people out there, that don't mean that you
Right.
let that oversee them.
I mean, here's,
Many that
with
don't.
anything, if you find abuse to something, you just
That's right.
stop, you just
You just
stop
stop
it,
it.
Call them on
right?
it.
The
Yeah,
other thing that
just
you,
stop it.
the other thing that you could do, after you find out if it's resident only or not, you know, whether or not you do stop it after X amount, because again, you can't,
Jesse's gonna have to answer that if we can even restrict it. through a
Yeah.
resolution.
right, you may not, yeah, you may not be able to, you may not be able to restrict it for X amount, and you may not be able to restrict it to resident only.
Yeah, it's all hypothetical.
Now,
Yeah.
once he answers that, you could also, I mean, again, it just depends on how crazy you wanna go to it. If they, to where they don't have to bring in their taxes, because number one, a W-2 is not gonna work.
No, it's
Because
gotta
just
be a
because you
tax,
have 12
yeah.
kids versus, you know, you could make $30,000 a year and only have one kid, but then there's the person that makes 50,000 that has 5 kids. So, when you,
Income-based. That's what we're going on.
Yeah, it would be your tax form, not your.
right, not a W-2, because you can't, yeah, like, the full tax, like,
It would be your taxable
Your
income,
tax
Correct.
return.
yes.
Right.
correct.
Yes.
So what is your, or what some people have done is if you qualify, like, let's say you already qualify for free or reduced lunch.
Yeah.
Okay, there, again, that's income
Do you have
based.
SNAP benefits?
Right.
Are you eligible for EBT?
So, and then prove that you're eligible for those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily us doing it. However, once again,
You're just going by their guidelines.
you would have to see which ones, because, and don't take this wrong. Some of it's not like really, some of those levels are still pretty high to be able to qualify for those. Not high, I don't mean it like super high, but there's certain ones
what you're
that,
saying.
yeah, there's certain ones that's very, like a
No, it's like
reduced lunch versus a free lunch.
40% of the federal poverty.
Right,
line.
are
That's
we-
what I'm saying,
yes.
Not that that's bad, but I.
Correct, yeah, I mean, again, almost everybody qualifies for this, but what about, you know? So I just mean there's probably different, like she said, I don't know all of them, like SNAP and some of those. If you qualify for this, you would qualify for this. Or if you qualify for, if you qualify for a free lunch, bring that in and you get it. But if you're just on a reduced, you're at X level, and again, we're trying to help, we're not trying to solve all
It'd be nice if-
world.
We need to have something very clearly
That's
delineated.
the other
so
part.
We're not like this panel determining case by case or else that's
No,
just.
we go by what the SNAP benefits, EBT,
Good.
that way it's not on us, well, then they pick this because this.
Right.
No, we go by
Yeah.
the federal guidelines of what they consider.
It'd be nice if we could do it for our residents, kinda like I was gonna tell you, maybe a council cares type program
that.
for our own
Yeah, that's
residents,
nice, yeah.
you know?
I love.
We
and
need
maybe
all the
we can-
PR we
hey,
can
if
get
we-
right now as
And if we
council.
promote it like that, that might be the little kind of hook that makes it so it can only be residents only.
Yeah.
Right, as long as Jesse, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't wanna, I
Can
don't,
you reach out to
Yeah, yeah.
Jesse?
Yeah,
Are you reaching out to Jesse?
okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I can
yeah.
And I'll start.
Jason, you don't have to pay for the use of council cares, you guys can have that,
Thank
okay?
you, I appreciate that. I'll give you a raise next
I
year
would've
for that.
charged him, I would've charged him.
Nah, I'm good.
So what about our pricing then? I know it's always a tough pill to swallow to increase prices.
I would say if you're gonna do anything, I don't think it should be more than $10 here or there. You're still gonna lose the people to Westerville. I don't think you can go drastically higher because you're already, and I think that, and this is where, don't take this wrong. I feel like I understand people that are struggling, but I feel like our prices are already so low in not just comparison, but it costs $100 to go to the zoo in one day
Right.
for a family of 4. Like, we're $200 for a whole season, or $245 for 3 months. So I'm not trying, you can't go bowling for less than $100. So when you start looking at the prices, like, what are we trying to, and again, I'm not trying to take that away from, trust me, anybody wants to know my personal life, I will be more than honest of, I've had my fair share of struggles, and I'm not going on that on a recording,
No,
but I do get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we are already so low for an extracurricular activity. I don't wanna take that away from the kids that really do wanna learn how to swim. I mean, I watched you teach that kid how to swim last year. I mean, getting kids in there and teaching them how to swim and, watching these kids excel in different things is phenomenal.
Right.
So I don't wanna take that away, but I also think if we keep our fees where they're close to, if we aren't able to go the extra step and do some of the discounts, I do feel like our fees are fair. Our fees
don't
are
disagree.
probably, I would say some might say that our fees are, you've got that one or two, you're still not gonna compete with the Westerville resident up there because they're not,
Yeah,
they've got millions of
the
dollars.
discount's a lot different.
Yeah, their process is a lot different.
I was gonna say exactly what Tiffany said, we have to go up some.
Yeah.
If it's
Cost
$10, and I would think too, we should promote, because in the course of this last month, for some reason, I've come across a lot of people in this park who have, we took a hit COVID year, but we were open. Thank you to her and the council, whoever at the time, but we were open, and it's not tooting our own horn, but we were open. We provided a summer activity when there was nothing else to do.
yeah.
And, we had to take a little hit on it, obviously. So I don't think it's bad too, if somehow in some promotional thing, we can advertise ourselves as the pool that beat COVID or whatever,
A pool that beat COVID.
Hey, we never had shut
There should
down.
be a marketing, John.
Running around with
There
like
should be a
tape
marketing
measure and like
Yes.
march.
We spent how many times over there trying to figure out how we're gonna and of course the Franklin County guy's like, you don't need to do all that.
And let's think about the improvements we're making for next year, all right?
I mean,
We
it
have-
is justified for a
And I think that's
reasonable
the-
increase.
Yeah, we have more new chairs
When you
coming.
talk about the increase,
We have
highlight
the
those things.
You have a
Slide.
revamped concession,
Yep, we
thanks
have
to
the
you.
concessions
The
stand.
pit area won't mean anything to them, but,
Yeah.
Oh, it's everything to me at this point.
required maintenance that maybe doesn't, that's not visible to you, that needs to be done.
Yeah.
The baby pool,
Yep.
Where do you wanna start?
Yeah.
There's so
Yeah,
much.
So,
It is
And the
justified
slide
as
that's
long
gonna
as
be
we
there this
are-
year,
yeah. So $10?
that's on you guys. I mean, that's,
That's what I'm asking, what do you think?
I mean,
David, you're the most financially conscious, that's not the right word to use, I'm sorry.
go through a
Money,
family,
not money.
Huh? No, we're all financially conscious, you are the advocate for,
a family
I don't
of,
really think any one
not
person
raising
knows
any
that.
funds, so.
a family of four. I'm not going, a family of four right now is $280.
For a member, for a resident,
For a resident, and a non-resident
it's $290, right?
is $290, so it's only a $10 difference between a resident and a non-resident. I will tell you, the biggest complaint that we get, in my opinion, is that we do not have a bigger gap between resident versus
Exactly.
I can
non-resident.
see that.
Maybe you can
I
raise
can see
non-residents.
why that's.
So
a-
that would
Yeah.
be my,
So,
I'd be more
Thought?
willing to raise non-residents.
I agree.
and then
okay,
leave the resident alone,
okay, I'm okay with that.
just for 1 year.
I mean, That's a-
So for next year,
warranted
$10
statement.
more on all non-resident.
Yeah.
And if they want the discount, they can buy one of our $400,000 or $500,000 homes.
There you go.
and promote, and you guys could promote that too.
Yeah.
Resident prices remain the same from the
Correct.
2022 season.
That's what I would do.
So that-
I would definitely promote that.
Yeah.
Be sure to put a picture of me smiling next to that line on the
Yeah,
flyer.
Tiffany's exactly
I'm great
right.
with
The
that.
people who came in the office were like, man, there's only $10 for,
Yeah.
if you don't live
Right.
here.
Okay,
Exactly, I think that.
good, I like that. You got my stamp of approval on that.
Just
Okay,
keep talking about it, we'll get there.
so, alright, so I think that's it. I think at some point, I
Do
don't
we have an
necess-
after, hold on, do we have an after 5 still on there,
No.
resident only, or we
We've
never
not-
put it back?
We've
Okay,
never put it back. I will say
I don't
that
agree,
that's
yeah.
gonna be a discussion as we talk about this at council. Cause there is an appetite to put it on, but I'm gonna defer to our pool management that says let's.
I like the night and
definitely not.
weekend pass.
Yeah.
I love that idea, I
Yeah,
feel
we
like,
have-
I do, because for example, I work, 10-hour days, I don't get off work till 7:30 PM,
Right.
like,
I would, one thing I'd like to add, maybe we don't need to, but I've just been thinking, I think maybe we should put something in here about the MPCA getting certain events at no cost to them.
so I actually had that conversation with MPCA the other day about, getting us the dates really far in advance. That way when people buy their membership, so we don't come across the issue that we did
Right,
last year.
right.
And then whatever you guys want to do, council-wise, if you guys want to do, allow people to rent the pool for an entire day, if you guys
Right.
actually want to, cause that, you know, I'm gonna say this, it's not gonna come across right, but it relies to John and I. Whether or not we wanna let schools come in and do that, it boils back down to, he gives it to me and I make the decision. A lot of times I'll either bring it to you or whatever.
I
It's-
think we have to have a discussion at some point about
Yeah.
rental of the facility.
For sure.
Like,
But I'd like to do that as a separate discussion because that doesn't affect the
Yes.
Yeah.
memberships. So,
Yeah.
right now, the membership piece is the most important, and so I'd say let's get that pricing approved
Done.
and done with, and we still have several months to decide on the other stuff.
I would
Cool.
be
Yeah.
curious about what the, you know, if there are any legal issues with, you know, renting freely to, you know, one, you know, civic group, but not necessarily another. I mean, like, it goes back to the same thing with, you know, the carriage ride funding. Like, I love the PCA, they do fantastic work, but I look at it from a, you know, is it one, you know, legal
Yeah.
or fair to,
I-
again, preferential
Yes.
is a negative in tone, you know, sounding word,
I know what
not,
you're saying.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think when we define those parameters, that we protect our mayor who's making those decisions, right? Because she can say, I'm sorry, this does or does not fall
This
under our
doesn't fall under our
guidelines
guidelines.
of it. And it's not her being the bad guy, it's that we've come up with these guidelines.
Well-
And she can approve or deny it
Correct.
based on those.
And it would be
right?
nice, yeah, and the only thing that I would
That's how
say.
it should be.
Yeah,
And the only thing I would say about getting it done sooner rather than later, in the event you guys do decide to rent all day,
yeah,
my thought was it needs to be done
Needs to be
60 days in
posted.
advance. It needs to be, I'm
Yeah.
throwing that in there. It
Yeah.
needs to be done 30
Right.
days. Because if you start selling, and the only reason, again, I'm saying this, you start selling these memberships, and then you guys say, we're gonna close the pool on Fridays and Saturdays at 6 o'clock, that
Right.
may bite you in the rear
which
end.
we have talked about.
Fine.
John was not,
Memberships.
John didn't think that was necessary for
Yeah.
us here.
I just think that it's when people, like you were saying, like you work and stuff, and some of these people, and again, we're not
Yeah.
Muirfield, and they belonging to a neighborhood pool. We don't have gobs and gobs of amenities as far as big slides and stuff. So I think we run the risk of ticking people off, like, hey, I bought this membership, I work all week, I can't come on Saturday because you guys are closed
Right.
now. I'm
Yeah.
just afraid of
Yeah, you
doing
have to
that.
do it before you start selling
And I'm not saying
memberships.
I have nothing against MPCA, wonderful group, obviously, but, you know, we need to be careful, you know, funding or giving preferential, you know.
Right.
With
I just-
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
I agree. That's why I would say, let's just put that in writing. That they get the
100%.
three nights, of sip and dip at no cost to them, right? We don't charge them.
No,
for
we
it.
do not charge
At
them.
no cost to them.
As long as those
And
dates
then-
are
It's
posted
not, it's not
beginning.
only is there no charge, I wanna remind people that he still stays, we still have lifeguards
Yeah,
on
we
duty, it
pay
actually
the fee.
cost us money
Yes.
when we do these things.
Right.
We also already are aware, I do not have the dates yet confirmed, I talked to him like 2 days ago, cause they wanted to get everything confirmed first. There are already gonna be 2 dates that the pool will either be closed or partially closed this summer for MPCA events.
Right.
So the only thing that I'm making sure you guys are aware is if they continue to move forward on this and they have moved the family fun night back even further, it used to only be from 6 to 8, last year it was from 5 to 9. I don't know what they're gonna do this year, cause I haven't seen the time, and also on Pride, the pool could potentially be closed all day, it could be closed half a day, it could be, I don't know what they're
Last
requesting.
discussion I heard was till 2, but I haven't been to an MBCA meeting lately. So I didn't know if you had known any different. Have you
What?
heard anything
I'm
different?
sorry, I
That
just-
for Pride, that they wanted to use it on that Sunday till 2 o'clock.
They're still bouncing around
Okay.
hours
Yeah.
Okay.
for Pride.
Yeah, so that's what I'm
That
saying,
was
I
in the
think
last-
we need to put all of that, and again, maybe it doesn't need to be with this, but at some point I'd say, let's get
It
that
really needs to get
into
in,
something
right, it just needs to be done.
before we start selling memberships.
Correct. That's all my point is because
Yes.
if we are gonna let them close for the entire day and the
Right.
entire day, and you want to fix it because of my issue last year, you guys wanna do it because you wanna post, as
Right,
you're
right,
selling
right.
the memberships, you
Right.
wanna say, pool's gonna be closed on this date and this
Right.
date. You know, that way it's just in writing
Yeah.
before you come across an issue.
When you guys are talking about MDCA events besides Pride and their family fun night and the wine and cheese, what else is there?
That's it.
That's it.
But I mean, like, for you to say not, you know, if we're in conjunction with them now on this membership and we're going through their site, I mean, it's kind of like a partnership.
It is a partnership,
So
yes.
why
Absolutely.
wouldn't that,
Yeah.
I mean, they work with us, why wouldn't they have it free? I don't think that enables her to have to give anybody else anything
No,
for free.
no, I don't think so either. I just think we are protecting ourselves by saying
There should be
that we
certain
have given this
guidelines,
to
yeah.
them
Right.
at no cost, right? Because what's preventing any other group to come up to us and say, hey, you give it to them at no cost, why
True.
can't you give it to us?
But I know, but to me, it seems like it's the Minerva Park
The
Community
community
Center.
You're
association,
right, it
I
is.
see what you're saying,
It is.
I agree.
Yeah, it is.
I
It
agree.
has us in their name, but I just
Yeah, but
wanna
they're not
protect people.
officially, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but they do
Right.
a lot.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that's not to downplay anything that they do.
Yeah.
No, but just like, you know, for the trolley rides, everybody knew I did it last year for that, and I
I think
was
that's
screamed
part of
at
it,
in
right?
multiple
There's-
meetings for doing it,
Okay.
if
We
you
need
guys
to kind of
remember.
make sure that
Not
we
by you.
Maintain separation, but can partner with
And
them.
said that we shouldn't have done it, and I didn't have
Just put it in
authorization, I
writing
did,
helps.
but,
Even calling it a community partnership
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, maybe
So-
to really flesh out the official, what capacity our roles together are.
Yes.
That's another discussion.
So the whole thing about closing the pool early on Friday, Saturday is because doing some research, Westerville Pools, Highland Pool does close at 6 o'clock on Friday, Saturday, Sunday because they rent it out and they are booked the entire summer. So that's extra income for them. That's why that discussion came up. Do we close the pool early on the weekends? And again, I think we decided that that we don't wanna limit our pool.
Yeah, we care about the
At this
people,
point in
people
time.
in their day-to-day lives,
Exactly, yeah.
not special
They also
events.
open earlier, I think, on weekends, don't they?
Probably.
I think they open at 11, so.
I mean, if you had to do it, we're open till 8, if you had to do it a couple times at 6,
I
just
don't
like,
see you
Yeah, I don't-
guys selling 50,000
No, I don't see us
private
selling that
parties.
either, so.
Yeah.
but like Tiffany said, it would just have to be,
Yeah.
this is it, you wanna join the pool,
Well, they should
okay?
have a set
Yeah,
guideline.
yeah, I
Exactly.
agree.
All of
We're
them should
not-
have a set guideline, and if,
Yeah,
I
so,
mean, 'cause-
so I'm okay with not, yeah, let's just
Yeah.
leave it as it is.
Okay.
Okay. Concessions, I have put concessions on here. I think we're gonna see a little increase in pricing next year, we just.
Oh, for sure.
We weren't like, we didn't lose money on concessions at all, just so everyone.
But it was cheap, and it was a
cheap.
great intro year.
There was a council meeting that said, have all the vending machines pulled, I don't know if we've
I
done
pulled
that or
them,
not.
I pulled all of them except, I think there's one there.
Okay.
One ice cream machine, I had them take all day, they're gone.
Okay, perfect. So we won't have that option anymore. I'm hoping you're planning to staff it again next year. We have talked, and I'm glad you're here because I know your feelings on this, but I just wanna talk about this. We have talked about, selling, beer and White Claws and things like that. That would require someone being 21 or older to run the concession stand if we did that. And I understand your concerns about
sorry guys, that
people.
means I can't help you any longer.
I understand your concerns about alcohol and things like that. My thoughts are, it's a 2-drink limit.
What?
That's the most we'd sell to any one person, during their time at the pool each day. And that, nothing gets served in the can. Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
I'm every morning.
Nothing gets served in the
Okay.
bottle, in the can or the bottle, it all gets poured into another
Another glass.
So that we don't have people walking around with, we all know that there's drinking that happens at the pool anyways.
No.
This
Yeah.
would,
sorry.
this would
Guys,
give us a little piece of that
Never.
pie.
I would put X's
so,
for anybody that's.
You
21
are the
above.
pool manager, I am gonna try to respect your thoughts and wishes on this,
You
but-
guys make the decisions, I'm just giving you an opinion here. We
Okay.
know it goes on.
Yes.
Thank God, for the most part, it's discreet now.
Yeah.
But I just think there's so many concerns. Yeah, we'll sell them to, but that gives them the license at their head, hey, I can bring a cooler.
Yeah.
We got little kids in the parking lot, people backing up, people being drunk, things that we're not even thinking of. I had one of my former lifeguards came last year with 2 of his friends, I'd throw his ass out the first hour, and they were like 27 years old, drank a whole bottle of tequila, he almost
Yeah.
fell and cracked his head open. So I'm just saying there is so much to think about.
I know, I'd hate to make the front desk people, security, but if you think about if you go to places like Zumbizi Bay or things like that, they check your coolers before you walk in the
Yeah.
door, make sure you don't have anything.
As long as you guys
I'm not
don't
sure
I
I
don't
should be
know.
asking that of, 17 and 18-year-old lifeguards. I don't know, I just,
And I'm telling you right now, you'll get, fuck you. I'm just-
exactly.
But that's what you're gonna get.
Right.
And
It's
I,
like, okay, bye,
and
bye.
again, my thing is, we are a neighborhood pool. We're selling ourselves as a safe spot. I'm gonna do whatever you guys decide to do. However, I think we gotta be very cautious of crossing that line, I really do.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's not something that we have to decide on tonight,
You know, it would be nice.
but if we at least had it, we could have it, if we had the ability, we could use it for events and things like that.
Yeah, maybe specific
Yeah.
things only.
And my thought on it, if we have it, and if we rent out the pool for an event, my thought is, in the contract to rent the pool, we have the right of first refusal for beer and wine. And the fact that if we feel that we can staff it for that event, we get to sell the beer and wine, they can't bring in their own. Unless we decide, no, we can't staff it for this event, or this is not worth our time, then they can get their own beer and wine license and.
Yeah, I'd be totally cool with getting the licensure set up and the infrastructure to do so if we could, do it on specific.
Yeah, not like
Every
Monday through
single-
Sunday.
I'm
they're gonna-
okay
people
with
are
that.
breaking it up
I am way
every
more
single
open to
day,
that,
so-
even
Okay.
if pre-season you said, these Saturday nights are sip and dips. Adults only or whatever, 6 to 9 or 6 to 10, whatever, something like that. I just think my personal thought is, and I drink, but during the day,
I get it.
you got,
Okay.
it's a different environment.
Like the
You're-
all-inclusive?
Yeah, you're not going,
Yeah. I don't
Chicken
wanna-
tumblers is
I'm
all
not-
I ask.
Yeah. I'm
you're not going to JC's and drinking, you're not going to Highlands and drinking, so it's, I mean,
They don't do
I have no idea.
no, I mean
I don't
during the
know.
day, no, they don't.
So, okay.
You don't
So,
go to Amherst.
this is just a general, before I
Yeah.
forget, this would be a great survey question also.
Yep.
When you send this off, it would be great to have that in the survey. If you do a little pool section, but make sure when we do it, we say, do you go to the pool? Okay, if you don't go to the pool,
Right.
it's not that I don't
Very
value your opinion, but I really want, I wanna know
We
from.
wanna know from the people that are attending and going on
Correct.
a regular
I mean,
basis.
and you're, again, most people fill those out pretty accurately. I feel like that would just be a great question to ask residents that attend the pool.
Yeah.
Make sure you add.
Okay, so consensus is, let's get our beer and wine license. We will have it for events, and anyone that wants to rent the pool, we get right to first refusal of,
And we will need to talk to insurance also
Sure.
about what that would do to our insurance policy and
Sure.
how much more it is and all that kind of stuff as far as Jeff and Leah go.
Okay.
Because it just may be something that's just believe it or not, some things don't change our policy that much. I mean, buying a new cruiser does not change our policy. So having X, 5 versus 6, it's like $2. It's very, and I didn't know all that, that's all stuff that you learn. So I don't know that it'll change. Like when we got rid of our fire department, our insurance didn't really change.
interesting.
So it's,
It's kinda crappy.
no, I mean, it did, but not like you would think. So I don't know if something like that really affects budget-wise.
Jason, if we had specific times like that, then we could allow the officers to know. The other thing I'm thinking of, if someone's just drinking during the day, am I gonna tell them you're not driving out of here? Or if they get by the office, are they gonna drive out, run into some kid on a bike leaving the driveway? There's just so much potential
Yeah,
for,
fortunately, we haven't had any problems, so, yeah,
Unfortunately, no one's got.
with that, yeah.
yeah. But I mean, if we opened it up
Yeah.
all the time,
It's
it could be a
potential,
problem.
Absolutely, it's absolutely.
I think that's a great
potential,
idea,
so-
though. I mean, even if you just did it like, not to say Friday night and Saturday night, but, 1 or 2 nights a week that and for this reason, test the waters.
I'd
Right.
definitely be willing.
How
to
did it
give
go?
up
How did,
events.
even if you only do it one weekend a month or something like that, if you
Yeah.
did it, I don't,
So,
You know.
so,
Yeah.
what I'm hearing that you would be open to, our own, not sip and dip, but our own, say, hey, this first weekend of the month or something, we serve alcohol from 6 to 8 or something. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Drink and tip or something, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Specific, a lot of times where we can do it this time, it's not open all the time.
Okay.
and then not to be
Yeah.
crazy, once we figured out who's, maybe there's not to be, you can buy 3 tickets at the window And that's all you get. I
Right.
mean, again, maybe we limit it to people to, if there's a will, there's a way, I understand that. But, maybe there's just something like at weddings, they give you 2 tickets.
Yeah.
Maybe we charge a different
Yeah,
price
we can
for that
find a way
particular
to-
day.
I'm sure we can.
And
find
if we did it daily too, I was thinking about this, once teenagers realize we have it there, I mean, I'm not hauling that stuff home every night, so they can be breaking in the pool to get the booze,
sure.
you know what I mean, all that
No,
stuff.
We'll have to figure all that out.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, if it's specific nights, we bring it in, we take it out,
Right,
but I
right.
mean, if it was every day, oh
Well,
my
I think the
God.
big problem too is staffing,
Mm-hmm.
most of our staff
Yeah.
is underage and.
Yeah, you
we
have
would
to be, I think,
specifically have to-
18 to serve it.
18 to
was
serve and
20.
sell, 18
Okay.
to serve and sell, at
That's what
least
I
it
thought.
was back when I worked in the,
Okay.
in a
Yeah.
grocery
I think it's
store.
21 now, cause I
I
know,
think
might-
it's 21.
it might
think
be.
has
I feel like-
changed
cause the
now,
kids who
but-
work in restaurants that are 18 tell me they have to have somebody
They
else
have to have
bring it.
someone else
Kroger
get it.
scans it, yeah, when,
Yeah.
I don't know what the age is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they get a
No,
cashier.
I think it has
Another
changed, because
cashier.
it used to be 18 back when
Right.
I was a grocery store clerk, but.
All right, I have one more pool item, and then I have 3 other topics to discuss, and I'm hoping to be done in 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes. All right, next one, because I don't like long meetings.
All it says is a person under 21 employed to sell or dispense is required to be supervised by another person on premises that's at least 21. So I guess keep reading, I don't
And you
know.
know, it's like is Tanner 18?
Yes,
Most places, if the restaurant agrees, you could go somewhere and as long as he's with you and you
Yeah.
okay it, he can get drinks.
Yeah,
So,
an adult or a guardian concern.
yeah.
Okay, I have, as we were budgeting, I put in the budget for a new pool new pool. That would be wonderful. A new
First
slide
time
for
about
next
this.
year. I have picked 2. These are both from the same company. One's, I budgeted for the more expensive one, just FYI. So we could choose the less expensive one. One of them has the whole twist around, and one of them's just kind of a regular, like what we had before. The beauty of both of these slides are that they're a little extra wider to avoid people from spilling out, because safety is a big concern, obviously. And they both have these safety ladders, so there's nothing for someone to fall through, and they have the grips on them.
Nice.
Is that
to
stone
help.
black though?
No, one is dark gray and one is sandstone.
Oh, okay.
This is gray granite. The gray granite's actually cheaper than the sandstone.
Which one do you like better?
This is what I
I
budgeted
like
for.
that.
This is
I
the more
like that
expensive
too.
one.
Yeah, I like that
I
one
just
too.
worry about the sun heating it up.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking,
Well-
if it was like black, it'd be like,
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, again, I budgeted for the more expensive version of this, which I think is just over $5,000. This one's $4,700 if you go with the gray, and it's in stock. My only concern, this one is 7 feet 4 inches tall, it looks like. 12 feet long is the length of the whole spiral, which is nice. It's actually longer than that one. Integrated handrails, enclosed staircase, weight limit of 250 pounds. So,
That's good.
Jason, is this for where we had the other slide?
Yes.
so that is one thing that I'd like whoever's gonna hook it up to kind of help
Well,
us.
and I gave you that name last year, this is a big process, don't forget that. You have to, before you buy that or anything, I would contact that guy I
what
gave
I'm
you.
saying.
They have to come out, they have to approve it, there's permits, it's not like, hey, we're gonna
Okay.
throw it up here. And if they come out and it's up there, then you gotta take it down if they didn't approve it,
Okay.
so.
Is it the Franklin County guy that, the
The
inspector?
one.
Not the good one
Okay.
we have, this is this guy's something else, so
Okay.
we wanna do it by the book.
The one thing I noticed in both of these, which may affect that, is that they recommend 4 feet deep, and right now where it's at is 3 feet, right? So the other side of the lifeguard station though would be 4 feet, correct?
Yeah.
So, is it possible to put it there? How hard is it to hook it into the water line? That's the only thing I don't know.
No, it's nothing, cause just the jets, you run the hose up, so that can be done anywhere, the only thing that one does then, if we're doing it for small kids, that limits them, because they can't swim in the deep water.
Yeah.
So we gotta think about who we want the slide for,
Okay.
so,
It may not require that it be in that, but in their documentation that they have on the site, it does.
Do they both stay 4?
Yeah, I think so.
I gave you that paperwork last summer, didn't I, for who to contact for all that?
If you did, I don't know.
Look and see, if not, I'll go to the pool and find it, but I've definitely, before you purchase anything.
Yeah.
Check it out so you're all clear,
Okay.
because they're very very
Yeah,
strict about
absolutely.
it.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I want your input on this, because I
Okay.
want us to figure out what will work. Putting them together is pretty easy, our maintenance person
They don't
can
look difficult.
put this together, I watched the YouTube instructional video online, it's not that difficult. And they sell the kit to hook it into the water line, they sell the bolts that you can buy separately to bolt it to the pool deck. It's just, what I'm concerned about is the chart that recommended the depth, when you come out,
So I guess here's my question to you guys while we're sitting here then. If we have to move it over to over 4 feet, is everybody okay with that, knowing that you're taking it away from the little kids? Or are we gonna keep searching? Did you see any that was for 3 feet?
There might be other ones that are smaller, yeah, that would work.
So what do you guys think though?
You know, personally, I would,
I mean, the kids go off the diving board and
they
the
do,
little
they
kids.
go off the diving board. I mean, right now we don't have anything, so I still lean towards this. But I also would love to see us provide life jacket type things for the kids down there. We did not budget for any of that. I'm not trying to put that in this.
No, I have a question about that. Is there a liability if we supply them or something like that? Or is there something, at JC, you are not allowed to wear any sort of, they do not allow any types of anything.
Really?
A
Yes.
pool that does not allow life vests.
No, it's because they basically want you watching your kid.
I mean, that makes sense too.
So, I mean, and that's a problem. So, in some places. So I don't know. There
Ask
are,
If we supply, I mean, again, I did not put that in the budget for next year,
Right.
but
I-
anytime I go to a resort and there's a children's area, they always have, now, I get it, you're not packing a life vest for a child when
Right.
you go on vacation.
right,
And we are not on vacation, you can throw it in the back of your car, but
it would be nice.
it's all about the perks, right?
Mm-hmm.
What perks do we offer compared to other people and the
You're gonna,
convenience.
probably what's gonna happen too is we gotta be realistic. I like it cause the lifeguard chair is right
Yeah.
here, but there's probably gonna be some parameters, how many feet it has to be away from the lifeguard chair. So we may get into more like the 5 to 6 foot range, cause they're probably not gonna let you put it right next to the lifeguard chair. So we're probably looking at more like 5 feet.
Let's figure out, give me the name again, cause I honestly
Okay.
don't think,
I'll-
don't remember you giving it to me, so.
I'll go, I know I
Do you know
gave,
who?
No,
Okay.
I know the other guy.
I'll go,
Okay.
this weekend when it's light, I'll go to the pool and get you all the stuff.
And
Cause I saved it all.
do they have an email, do you have an email for them?
I think back when we did the other one, it was just phone numbers at the time, but I'm sure you can come up with an email easy.
Cause I can email them what the specs are, although we probably don't have anything for the pool that shows depth and all that, so.
Oh, he'll wanna come out, believe
Yeah,
me.
okay, alright. Alright, so, more to come, I guess, on this, as we get approvals for it, but I did wanna throw it, this is what we're looking to get.
I think everybody likes the good one first, but if we have to go
Yeah.
smaller, then I guess I guess if we have to go smaller, we have to go smaller.
Well, the smaller one would make it more feasible for the 3 foot as well, so.
But then you just think about this, then the bigger kids can't go,
Well,
you know.
well, hang on a minute, let's all remember our favorite, Mexican food commercial, Porque no los dos, you know? What was that? I forget what brand that was, but anyway, it could be something that we could consider, in the future, having one,
Two, yep,
yeah, I mean,
should be nice.
any Spanish speaker listening, somebody in the future, I'm sorry, I have a horrendous accent, but.
Alright, I have 19 minutes left, so let's, entrances, so, gardens, public spaces are part of this community. The entrances, night and day difference from what they looked before. I think a couple things that I've noticed that I'd like to still see is that, and I don't know if this is our property, I assume it is since we landscaped it, but, the fence area inside of Wendy's there was not done.
They're not doing the section over that is by the school, a lot of that, I know where you're talking about, but it's just because of the construction and over by the school and all of that, so.
We
a
trimmed
lot of
back
it-
all the bushes over there, but we just
Yeah.
didn't do the mulch or anything.
No, it's because of the construction.
Okay, and then, the other thing I think we should look at next year, and I don't know if this is a property issue or not, but, at the entrance from far view there.
Mm-hmm.
There is kind of a dip, it looks like there might be a gas line there or something that's just gotten overgrown with weeds and stuff, I just don't remember that in
Is
the
it at
past.
Minerva Lake Road or where?
It's at the corner of that, dive place in the entrance, on Ponderosa, right there at that curve.
To see, I don't know.
Not
I'll have to
Ponderosa,
look.
not Ponderosa.
I know what you're talking
Service
about.
Road.
Yeah, I'll have to
Yeah,
look.
there's just a dip in there, I just think we need to
See what's going on.
whose responsibility it is and maybe,
Do something
Um,
with ours.
if it's not ours, have a conversation.
A lot of
with
that is
them.
ours right there, because the service road is ours, a lot of that is ours
Okay.
right there. Yeah,
Yeah,
So I'll have
I
to
think we
see.
need to cut it down a little bit more, it's
Okay.
just,
and that's just a Brian thing. I mean, I can send
Yeah.
him over there and,
otherwise, I think the entrances look good, I haven't specifically checked every single one of them, did they get yours over at Jordan?
yeah, well, ours always looks good, because
Okay.
GFS takes care of theirs.
Okay,
We have neighbors that take care of theirs.
okay.
Some of the,
So I
yeah.
think next year, if this is still the case, that once we go to the bidding system, that we're gonna look for someone to maintain them 2 or 3 times
As
a
of
year?
right now, we're already doing it, and we don't need the bid system, we're using the same company that we used that did this one, that way but we've already got it budgeted for 3 times.
Okay.
I think we picked March, July, and like September or something like that, I mean, we have it written down, what we wanted.
Perfect.
So, but the plan is to have it done
Will-
3 times.
Will they give us a quote on, kind of uniforming the plantings that we put throughout them?
I would
or-
assume the answer is yes, but what we would just need to do is, typically what we do, when we have anything like this, when it comes to like planting trees or doing this or that, is doing a field trip. I mean, we basically need to walk over there and say, this is what we're looking for, this is what we're looking for, and then go through it that way.
Uh-huh.
We wanna get rid of this, versus them just kind of putting together a plan. A lot of them won't do that for free. But if we just go over there with them and say, we want,
Okay.
if we do it,
That's fine.
if they bring us a plan, it's gonna cost a lot more versus us basically going over there and saying, get rid of this, this, and this, and just plant this, this, and this.
Okay.
Because
Then
then you're
let's-
not hiring an architect and all that.
Let's try to figure out a date that we can get
Yeah,
that done.
and what we would do is just give me enough time, and then I would just call and set up, we would just call them and say, when are you available?
Right.
And to have somebody come out and walk it with us, but we've done that, we do it quite a bit with everything.
Alright, I mean, I've gotten a couple compliments on what we did, so,
Mm-hmm.
David, anything from you on the?
Well, not besides the native plant aspect.
Oh,
Oh, no,
absolutely,
we would,
yeah, yeah,
we would go with the list that we have.
Jason, you're done with the pool stuff?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm good, go.
Thank you, have a good night.
Good luck with your dad, enjoy Christmas with
I
him.
appreciate that. Thank you so
Thanks for
much.
coming.
Sorry for your loss.
Thank
okay?
you.
Yeah.
I'll tell Rick.
Appreciate it.
Again, not a long discussion, but we need to keep this in front of us. We have been tasked with coming up with, the policies and procedures around the amphitheater. It feels like a long way off, because I feel like we talk about this in one meeting and then we go months without talking about it again, so I don't even know what's happening with it. But,
There's no deck on it yet, the last.
I know that's the last conversation
It's
we
not
had on
been-
choose something,
right.
and I don't even know if we've,
So, no, I mean, all that stuff is
Zoom out
gonna,
down there.
yeah.
it's pretty much gonna have to be bid out. There's a lot of electrical still, there's a lot of the decking, and all of that is way too much money. So it's gonna have to be bid, it's a long time away before it's gonna be done still.
Yeah.
But as far as the policies and procedures, this is gonna be very similar to, other areas, is the main task that if you guys wanna set policies and procedures, if not, it falls on us.
Right.
So what hours do you want people to be able to use it? What do you wanna do if people are using it and they're not supposed to? This is no different than any sort of shelter anywhere we put
Right.
it. It's the same type of thing,
You know,
is
my-
renting it.
My gut tells me that, the power gets locked up, that type of stuff is not available for free use for
I
anyone.
would think.
And that in order to unlock whatever power we have down there, it comes with a rental fee. Are we having water down there or something?
I would
Okay.
say sun up till sundown unless
some
otherwise
reason I thought-
authorized for like a movie or
I
something.
think that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you have to remember there's residents that are right there, and those residents, I'm just gonna say, most of them probably have no idea this is going on. They were not
Right, so-
contacted, they do not know that this event, that anything's,
Get better about that.
I think we
Yes,
know,
we
I
do.
think, yeah, I don't disagree, so I think we need to start talking about it with those residents,
Yeah.
see what, if they
See
have
what
any
they feel
inputs
comfortable
and-
with, say it's coming up, is there
Yeah.
something that we can ask, would you prefer it being, once it gets dark, we
Yeah.
wanna make sure that you're home, it's as easy as that.
Yeah, honestly, I think a lot of people, it might even be better going in and saying, hey, these are our thoughts on the hours that it would be used, the
What do you
days of the
think?
week. What are your thoughts on
Yep.
this, rather than just saying, we're gonna get too many options if we just kinda go into something.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give them
Like
ABC
weekends
choices.
primarily.
Yeah, you have to
What?
do ABC.
Weekends primarily,
Yeah, I'm
sundown
thinking,
unless otherwise
I'm thinking
on
pretty
extra
much
like the
weekends.
beach.
and-
And nobody's gonna be out there doing it today, let's just be honest. I mean, it's freezing cold, you're not
Right.
gonna have somebody, you know, just trying to rent this space and have some rock band. And this was the conversation we had a long time ago. You go back and listen to the planning and zoning things, this was just one of those that everybody knows my thoughts on this. I think this is a nightmare that's about to come about, so,
Yeah. I mean, if the school wants to come over during the day and do stuff, that's
That
fine.
would be cool for the
But-
kids to be able to do a play.
But I don't think that's a, let's rent the space out type of thing. I think if they just wanna use it, I think what
No.
we're talking
You
about
know,
is like,
NBCA wants to do their projector, it would be
yeah,
nice
I
there.
can see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
Arts in the Park, I can see bands being up there for
That
the
would be
day, for the event. Other than that, I don't know what it's gonna be
And
used for.
Well,
I think the thought is people would rent it out and you would have bands there. There are people in the village that are interested in that in the evenings. Oh, yes, that is the plan.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's, yeah, so,
I'm not in a cool club.
yeah, no, the plan, I'm not in a band, but I will
Yeah.
tell you that has been the discussion, is it's not like for residents to be able to invite and actually have concerts there. So the dream goal is that that whole area is gonna be used for people to be able to put out like sheets and sit down and, you know, watch a local band, whether
Yeah.
it's a resident or a non-resident, like we've said, you know, what are the parameters going to be?
Yeah, within the parameters, as long as they're appropriate, that seems perfectly.
And-
it's
but
not
what's
nice-
appropriate to you?
Like Schiller would be super cool.
Yeah, so, but that's where you're at. I mean, what's the parameters of,
Outdoor theater.
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah,
what,
parameters.
you can't necessarily just, you know, like, his first thing that he said is what is appropriate, but what's appropriate?
Right, okay. Well, just keep it in your minds.
Yes.
And if you have any suggestions, shoot me
And I
an
know
email.
Brittany Landers
Yeah.
messaged me earlier on, she does a lot of stuff like that, and she says if there's ever an opportunity, volunteer opportunity to, help with any of the planning or the processes after it's all done, she is definitely wanting
Oh,
to
okay.
be part.
Okay,
So we have a volunteer opportunity
Okay.
if it comes
Great.
about.
well, if y'all think of anything,
Oh, and
just shoot me an
decibel.
email.
Like the noise ordinance,
Correct.
decibels.
You're gonna have to.
Yeah.
That was my
We
thing
have
is,
all that.
yeah, you're gonna have to.
Yeah, we might have to go and test it a little bit, just
Mm-hmm.
to kind of see what
I'm
it
gonna get a
sounds
metal
like.
band.
Right.
Seriously, we need to
I am.
give it a stress test, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. And we
I
could
can
tell,
do that.
we could tell the neighbors, we could say,
We've
hey,
done
we
this.
A lot of
wanna,
things stress
we
me.
wanna do a test to see what it's gonna, how
Well-
the impact is.
The thing that I was told is because of the way it sits down so low and this and that and with the trees and all of that, it will block a lot of the noise.
Sure.
And that was,
Probably will, yeah.
yes, and so that was one of the things that,
Right.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
yeah, so they may
Yeah.
not even realize that it's there.
Yeah, but I have no problem with us setting something up and saying, hey, community, we're testing out some things, we wanna come up with some standards for this, we're gonna test it this weekend and
Yeah.
give us your feedback, right? Before we come up with any final decisions on anything.
And again, in the survey, let's add that.
Sure.
What do you,
Well,
do
That's a
you
little
have?
tough because not everyone is affected by it, right?
Oh, no, I'm not just talking about anybody being affected. What would you like this space to be
Oh,
used
gotcha.
for? Do you
Okay,
have any
okay.
other options,
Okay.
you know?
Okay, last topic, we're gonna not talk long about it.
Take your time.
But I want to, I kinda wanna expand on the shelter area just a little bit. It's, just based off the feedback from the meeting we have, this is not a pros and cons of the shelter at this point in
Right.
time. There are a few things that I heard, that I took away from that meeting, that I think we should, communicate. One of the things that I took away was, people saying, well, why don't we put it here, why don't we put it there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that we have not done the best job communicating on, there were several options. They talked about the community building, let's put something at the community building, they said, let's put something at the pool. I would like us to, the talk has been, let's put some type of gazebo, or the talk I've heard, a gazebo over at the community center.
Correct.
Why not?
And we now have in place for, as long as the budget gets approved, we're talking about revamping the pool space, right? So it's not I don't know that we've done a good job communicating that the thought has been multiple. things throughout the village and not just this is the only solution, right? So I think if we communicate some of
I
that
think
stuff a
people
little
know that
better.
it's been looked at from certain areas. I think
Yes,
they're
I
just, they know that it's honed in on this one area.
I wouldn't say that people don't know that we've talked about other
Yeah.
areas, cause obviously we talked about, oh, it wouldn't work here. It's the, that particular structure would work best at that location, right? Like from a financial standpoint, that's, the other option would be the pool, from a
Right.
financial standpoint, but
However, restricted
the
accessibility.
the pool is not gonna be the best bang for our buck with that type of, what we need at the pool, in my opinion, is an indoor area that's actually even larger.
Remember those the song talked about those, like big, like triangle shaped, like, shades that
Yeah.
you can do that?
Oh, yeah.
We've even talked about
I'm
that.
still looking at those.
I'd love to see
Yeah.
something like just a field of those.
Yeah, I'm still looking at
Edison
those, yeah, for the pool. So I think if we start communicating the other options, one thing that came up in a personal conversation afterwards is that they don't understand a master plan for everything. And I think you're right, we have not really communicated,
We've not been given the opportunity to communicate, and I'm
Sure.
gonna say it this way, planning and zoning put it together, and it was basically, oh my God, this is what we're doing, and it was never asking the actual questions. I started getting bombarded with, but there's gonna be bathrooms, and none of that was accurate. So I think it was more of everybody just kind of going, the fear of everything versus anybody just sitting down, because we have answers. Brady had answers for all of those things, that he can explain.
If he
Yeah.
could, if
Why-
he could have had the chance to
Right,
talk.
right.
It would have been nice if he
Yeah.
would have had that opportunity to.
but
Well,
I wanna-
but the residents were talking. The residents
Right.
went from one to the next, to the
Right.
next, to the next.
There are a few things I think we can still discuss.
Yeah, I think you still have to take the concerns and the things and the actual police, you have to look at that and take that serious.
No, absolutely.
Because those are, and again, you got residents that have, just like this amphitheater. You know, it was the way, and you can disagree, the way it was brought to council, even to us when we heard about it was,
The
this is gonna
amphitheater
happen.
or the shelter?
No, the shelter.
Uh-huh.
This is gonna happen, this is what we talked about, it's allotted, it's gonna happen, and we represented it like that. You can disagree, but that is how I perceived it was presented to us.
Yeah.
Such a reality.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But there was residents right next door.
Right,
I think as a village, we owe our residents so much more than that.
right.
Then
I gotta go,
Oh,
so,
okay.
not to, yeah.
Thank you.
I am meeting those people, just so you guys are, I mean, obviously, we saw that email that went through.
Oh,
So
yes.
I'll
Yes,
give you
yes.
guys a brief
Thank you.
after I meet with them.
Who's all
Are you
meeting at
okay?
that?
It's an admin, myself and Brady, and the resident that reached out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how that transpired.
Just like it did the time you guys reached out and you guys wanted to meet myself and chief, residents reach out all the time, so if you ever have a question, definitely just ask me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
she
sure.
just happened to CC all of us.
Like,
but-
there's some stuff I wanna bring to safety, so I'll have to definitely bring that up to you, cause that's.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll,
Go
just some news articles I've seen from different counties I wanna talk to you about.
Oh, okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
who
just
wants
want you
to
to
grab
take that.
I'll grab it.
Grab
I'll
it.
yeah.
And I know we wanna get out of here, I
Yeah.
just wanna make sure that the stuff that was brought,
Yes,
I do think we can do better communication.
Yes.
But on the other hand, you guys asked residents to show up.
yeah,
They showed up, and I mean, there's concerns. Not only this, but this opens up our police calls. Now we know that not every police call is recorded, right? It's in writing, on record, 2 meetings ago.
if
It is
they
not
don't
considered
file
a
a
police-
report, yes.
So when we're asking about all those police records, if someone didn't make a report,
Right.
that's why the calls are off.
Right.
I have an issue with that.
It definitely seems that everything needs to be standardized and centralized. better.
Something needs, because we're talking,
Yeah, that's gonna have to go
I mean-
through safety though.
but
But,
when
yeah.
we're talking about a shelter, we're
Yeah.
talking about multiple felony gun charges, multiple drug trafficking. I mean, and I have those records for you at any
Sure.
time.
But
I
that's-
just want those seriousness and I want the residents' concerns to be heard.
Right,
And I think that's important.
so, I don't disagree. But we have to start, that's what I wanna talk about, is actually addressing those concerns and not if we should put the shelter up right now. I wanna
Those should be handled before a shelter's even discussed.
Right, that's why
Yeah.
we're trying to have a
I
discussion
agree.
about it. So I know that we have, and we have 3 minutes to talk about this, and then I'm ending the meeting. The engineer's doing a traffic study on stop signs over there.
Nice.
And I think we'll have a solution on that here shortly. Um,
What parts of a traffic study exactly were they?
just adding them, like adding stop signs and
Okay.
where they would be,
Okay.
in that area.
People were asking them on our Lake Road for sure.
We're not talking about Monroe for Lake Road, we're just talking about over by the shelter right now.
Not to say the Miller Lake Road couldn't be
Oh.
discussed in the future.
We're just talking about,
like the four-way stops.
yes.
But there's not a shelter there yet, so let's not say that we're talking about the shelter, because the shelter is not
sure,
there yet.
right, where where,
Shelter is
yes, where the
one.
basketball court is, yes.
Yes.
Because that has been a concern that people fly through there too
It's
fast, so, I know that Mike is looking into that.
Okay.
And where they would go
Awesome.
and what we would need to do. Fortunately, it's not expensive to add those at all, and so I don't think that that's gonna be an issue.
Stop sign, yeah, was that like a couple $100 total?
Yeah,
Well, they
yeah,
wanted like a four-way stop, they really wanted that, and I think that will really make a lot of people happy.
yeah. It's figuring out where to put them and who, does it need to be a four-way, is it a three-way, one direction yeah,
Whatever
and
slows
wherever
it
that
down.
needs to, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that we have not discussed it at MLR, but, I wanted to focus on the basketball court area since that falls under community. Another thing that I would just like to present to people is the cost of, just putting a camera in by itself without a structure. I think it's pretty expensive from what I understand, but I would like to just say, hey, this is the cost of a camera alone. The thoughts, the hope and the thoughts behind the camera is that it has a DVR attached to it so that we can record everything. So there's no question of, something happened and we don't have video evidence. And that it gets streamed into the police vehicles as well. So they would have access to it actually in their cars, which should help with them also watching the court at the same time as them being there. I know David, well, I did not have a full discussion with you, but I know that one thing that came up at the meeting was about our police force, not just sitting there, but interacting a little with people.
Yeah, I would definitely see that as beneficial, because
Yeah.
you see those videos on, Facebook or
Yeah.
YouTube or whatever, the cops coming out and then, just playing a game,
Right.
shooting a few rounds of basketball.
So-
So let me, sorry,
That'd be nice.
so, I don't wanna go in depth about it, but I do wanna ask, cause I do know that there was a couple people that were planning to come to this meeting, and I will be listening tomorrow. What, with this being under community, where do you see the talks of the shelter going? Where do you see, what's next
Yeah.
after this?
Personally, I'd like to mark it out over there, just to kind of see how it looks on that space. Because telling me it's this size building on that piece of land means nothing to me. I'd like to
You
kind of
wanna
see how big it
visualize
is.
that. I
And
understand.
I think that would be helpful too. I think we still need a discussion, so the other two concerns that I heard in general about the shelter, if we were to put a shelter there, were restrooms. Would there be restrooms or not?
That's
You know?
my understanding was no.
You must know, but
Right.
Eric Fisher also said that it's something that could be added.
Yeah,
All I gotta ask is, would you want this right beside your house? Would you be okay with this being right beside your house?
I'd probably
don't have
use
a
it,
problem.
honestly.
No, I don't really have a problem, cause the the Black Sycamore location would be right by my house, so, if it
I'd
was
be
put
willing
over
to
there.
use it, I probably would,
Yeah,
If
I
it was
don't,
by your house?
probably.
I don't really have, an issue with it. Honestly, I think putting it up and adding the cameras makes it safer space. Could it just be, a concrete pad with picnic tables? Something like that?
I don't know, I mean,
Is the covering, is that considered a problem?
it seems like people are upset over the fact that there's a roof. I don't know, like.
No, people are not upset about the shelter at all. A
They
lot
just
of
think
them,
it's gonna
a
attract
lot of them
people.
are okay if we would be perfectly okay with the shelter, I don't wanna say we. They would be perfectly okay with the shelter. It's the fact that the safety of the basketball court has not been addressed
Right.
yet, so why add another
Yeah,
area,
I
right?
can see that
exactly.
argument.
And they're scared.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we're not talking about.
Right.
We're talking about felony drug warrants, trafficking, which means, and I don't know if you know that, according to Ohio Revised Code,
Oh, I know.
it had to be in a plethora of different substances and a large amount enough in different baggies, where it was marked for distribution.
Right.
That is major stuff.
Yeah, that's
And it's not just a
that's-
one-time thing, I mean, we're talking about major things. So,
There are
No,
some not,
That's
there
it.
there are not great
Right.
individuals in the world.
we've talked about, yeah, but would you, yeah, I get that, but
Yeah,
we also want the, what's there now, there ain't nothing wrong with residents asking for that to be
Oh,
safe too, cause
for
they
sure,
were promised
for
that.
sure,
I
yeah.
sat in a meeting in 2020, and I can show meeting minutes from that,
Yeah.
where these things were promised, and I have not seen nothing.
right,
And that's their concern, they wanna be safe,
Okay, nobody wants to make an
Yeah.
unsafe
yeah,
building at all.
I don't
But it is unsafe
I don't
It's
disagree, yeah.
so that's it. If
I-
you
I
can
don't-
make it safe, I think residents would be okay with it.
Right, which was what I was trying to take from that meeting. What would it take to make you feel safe?
Yeah.
And again, I think, I don't know for sure because we never got the opinion of the group that was there, if cameras on it would make them feel safer. I don't know. It was hard to get that out at that meeting. You know, I heard things
People
about.
got angry because they were having a hard time speaking,
Sure.
right? And that's something that we also need to address sometime in the future.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're there for, right?
Yeah, well,
But,
yeah,
so be it.
alright, we're
Great
on
meeting.
past that, sorry. I did wanna talk about it, I know it's the elephant in the room.
Nick, well, we
but,
gotta talk about it, man.
Yeah, we're not gonna get a resolution unless we
Nope.
talk about it, so.
I agree.
Alright, thank you guys, are we, any
We'll
motions?
make a motion to
Yes.
adjourn,
Thank
should we
you.
second
Motion
it
to
or?
adjourn.
Let's
Yes.
go, I third
Alright,
that.
thank you.
Alright.
Have a great night, guys, thank you, yeah.
Aye.
Oh, this was not